Today I'm in Brisbane, up near the northern end of Story Bridge, and my journey is going to follow the boundary streets that encircle Brisbane. Now these are a result of a rather dark chapter in Brisbane's history. You can see on this map here, Boundary Street through Spring Hill, Boundary Street through South Brisbane, Vulture Street down the bottom. It's called Vulture Street now, but it used to be known as City Boundary Road. So all of these roads had one purpose in mind, and that was to preclude the Indigenous peoples of the area from staying within the Brisbane township after 4 p.m, Mondays to Saturdays, and all day Sunday they weren't allowed into Brisbane. So what happened was constables and police officers and whatnot went around, they patrolled these boundary streets, cracking a stock whip to signal to the Aborigines that they had to get out by 4 p.m. So I'm starting here up near the Story Bridge. I think you might be able to see it behind me, there it is. And I'm going to be heading west along Boundary Street through Spring Hill, and we'll see what we find on the way. That's the building for the Queensland Ambulance Service, and I gotta say, what an ugly building. No, really, they got to tear that down and put up something nicer. Connell. I've never been up here before. This is just off Boundary Street. I thought I'd take a little detour and just see what's here. There's always helmets. So anyway, just getting back to what I was talking before about these roads that encircle Brisbane. You can see them on the old maps, these old roads. And you can also see them still in the modern road landscape today of Brisbane. Now the one down the west side is mainly Countess Street, but it's not called Boundary Street, but Countess Street is still roughly where the old Boundary Road would have been. So just thought I'd better make that clear. What are we looking at today? 28 degrees, mainly sunny, no rain forecast. Nice day for a walk. Just coming up toward the intersection of Boundary Leichhardt and St Paul's Terrace. If I turn right, I think we'll find an old church. I can't actually see a sign here to tell me what church this is. So a sign would be nice. I don't mean a sign from God, I just mean a sign out the front. Paul's Presbyterian Church. Okay, on my way. Frederick Ozanam House. I wonder who he is when he's at home. Oh, maybe he is home. This line of Boundary Street, back in 1844, you can see it on this map here, this was just a line of measurement. There was no road there at that point. It was just a measurement through the bushland. Now Spring Hill, where I'm passing through at the moment, used to be called Spring Hollow, and that was because of all the water holes that littered this area. Johnson? Back in the old days, there were Johnsons as far as the eye could see. Now Boundary Street, which I was just walking on, finishes here and continued that way through the grounds of Brisbane Grammar School, but you can't get through there now, so you have to come around this way. So approaching the Normanby Five Ways, in the distance on the right you can see the Normanby Hotel. Very, very old hotel. I don't know what year it was, I have to look it up. And an uninteresting fact about Normanby is that there used to be a train station just over there. There's a doggy over there. So I'm currently on Petrie Terrace, and I got a funny feeling that this is actually part of the old boundary road network around Brisbane. Countess Street is down there, and I thought that may have been it, but looking at this one here, it's so long and straight, and the old houses that are along here as well, obviously these date to a little bit later. And I'm just looking up above, and there's a lot of spiders there. There's like one there, one over there. I'm going to make a run for it. Now this is a place I'm very familiar with. This is the Brisbane Arts Theatre. I was in a lot of plays here probably about 20 years ago, maybe even a little bit more. What did I do? Can't remember one of them. Now this old house here, we always called it the cottage because we couldn't pronounce the words before it. This is one of the rehearsal rooms for Brisbane Arts Theatre. There's a very nice doggy. Hello doggy. Don't you go on the road now. Oh doggy. Oh hello doggy. Now that area over there in the middle distance, there's some train lines and everything, that's part of Roma Street Railway Station. That whole flat area there used to be a cricket ground in the mid-19th century. Now this is a very important place for the history of Brisbane. This is the very first cemetery, the first European cemetery in Queensland. So I'm on Eagle Terrace. This is actually a remnant of the west side of the Boundary Street grid around Brisbane. I'll wait for this car. This went down to the river, and the road is picked up on the other side, which is Boundary Street going through West End. But here it ends at Coronation Drive. So I'm here at the end of Eagle Terrace, and this rock here is actually volcanic. It's from Kangaroo Point, which I'll be crossing later, and we'll talk about the volcano that created this rock. It's called Brisbane Tooth. Now I don't know what the building was up there originally. It's long gone. There's some modern thing that's already falling into disrepair. So yes, Kangaroo Point rock here. So this is going to be quite an old wall, this one, probably 19th century. They built a lot of the early buildings, roadways and big fences and things like that out of this stuff. now I'm back over the other side of the river, and this is Boundary Street in West End. So I'm going to be following this all the way down to Vulture Street. I once parked my car in a tow-away area. When I got back a couple of hours later, the car was still there, but the whole area was gone. Another abandoned and not all that old building. This is a motel. There's that needle thing that was put up for World Expo 88. It got moved after the expo to that site. So I've just left Boundary Street here in West End and turned left onto Vulture Street, and this will take me east towards Woolloongabba. So even though it's called Vulture Street, it was originally known just by the name of City Boundary. So it's one of the boundary roads that boxes in early Brisbane. So this is the southern stretch of it. As I'm now heading east towards Woolloongabba, that side of the road there was the area outside of the boundaries of Brisbane town. This side here was the area the Aborigines had to keep out of after 4 p.m. Just going to go and take a look at this church. Well, that sign's not much help. No idea. Don't know what church it is. Call it the Church of Brian. Ah, so that's it. Now this lovely old building here is known as the South Brisbane Town Hall. Now technically it wasn't actually a town hall, it was municipal offices. Basically just a place for the local politicians to run the place, but it was never a town hall. another church, this time Russian. Now, they've got a sign out the front, but there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce that. And just across the road there, you can see the construction work for a section of the Cross River Rail. So just ahead of me is Main Street, and that's where I'm going to take a left turn, because I'll be then heading north, and that will be the fourth and final section of this box-shaped road network around Old Brisbane. Now, I don't know too much about Main Street. I don't think it was ever patrolled by police officers and on horseback and all that sort of thing. I think it was mainly through West End and up along Countess Street and also through Spring Hill. That was the main areas. But anyway, it does form the final side of the box that surrounded Old Brisbane. So heading north now up towards Kangaroo Point. Just getting back to the Cross River Rail construction. On that bit of land there where you can see all the works happening, that used to be GoPrint. And back in the mid-19th century, that was the location of a Pullen, and it's P-U-L-L-E-N. That was a place where the local indigenous peoples would come to sort out their problems, talk, and sometimes fight to resolve differences and conflicts. Here's a famous odd landmark of the Kangaroo Point area, Pineapple Hotel, established 1864. I'll try not to get run over by going across the road. I think I might wet my whistle, but since I didn't bring a whistle with me, I'll just sit down at the bar instead. Cheers. Alright, on my way again. Not too much further to go now. I think that's the same car I saw before. Alright, so I've taken a little detour off Main Street at Kangaroo Point, and I'm actually right on the edge of the cliffs now, Kangaroo Point Cliffs. Over there is Brisbane City. I'm going to take a walk down some stairs because these cliffs are not just any cliffs, there's a very interesting story behind them. So I'll just find the stairs and we'll go down and have a look. Now these rocks here are the result of a volcanic eruption about 230 million years ago during the Triassic. Now these cliffs here were used as a quarry in the 19th century to build a lot of the early colonial buildings in Brisbane. It's known as Brisbane Tooth, as in T-U-F-F. Nice walk up here. Warm day, but it's not too bad. Well, another helmet and another church. Seems to be a recurring theme of this video. Alright, what's this one? Oh, that's nice, that Monterey thing just over there. I'd say that's pretty well brand new. That's beautiful. This old building here, this little tiny wooden thing, this was the old lockup, a little temporary prison cell. Now there's a modern building behind it, Rob and Spencer Architects, and they've incorporated this old lockup into their overall design. But I remember back in the 90s, it was just open ground around here and this modern building wasn't there yet. So that's great, it's still here, the old lockup. Might even go and have a look. Just approaching the Story Bridge. I have no interesting facts or dates for you on it. It's a bridge, it's right there. Apparently though, there is one that it's almost exactly the same design as this over in Canada. Well, it's been about 4 hours later, and here I am back in the same place where I began this journey. I started by going that way, and I've come all the way around through Spring Hill, down through the west side, down through West End and South Brisbane, and then up through Kangaroo Point. Then I've gone along the Story Bridge, which is just over there, and I've just come from there, and now I've got to head back. But what I wanted to say about this journey, because it touches on so many places that were important to the Indigenous peoples back in the 19th century and today, certainly. And I was walking through West End, and I came to a busy intersection, and I stopped the camera rolling. And the reason why I stopped the camera rolling was because there were quite a lot of Aboriginal people there. And I'm just an observer. When I go on these journeys, I document what I see. Whether I see beautiful buildings or some ramshackle old house or something funny, something interesting, whatever. But I report on what I see, but I did turn off the camera then. And this group of Aboriginal men and women were heavily drinking, and it was 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning. This is not about passing judgment. We don't know what people are going through in their lives. It was a place that they seemed to enjoy congregating at. We weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't yelling. They were just sitting there. A few of them were stumbling about under the influence of alcohol. So this journey that I've taken, it's been to explore the boundaries that excluded Aboriginal people from Brisbane in the 19th century. And here in early February 2021, are they still excluded? I know we do, all of us, communities, peoples, governments, organisations, churches, do a lot. Are we doing enough, or are we doing the right things? I have no answers to any of this. I really don't know. All I can say is what I saw. And it's not for me to judge. I'm just a person passing through their area with a camera, but I didn't feel comfortable, or it didn't feel right to film them. I don't know. I think there's still work to be done. That's what I think.